I'd like to welcome everybody here today for the Bullhead Mountain. It's a great day for the community. I'd like to thank Francis Huber. We got Larry Prince as County Commissioner, Tom Smith's County Commissioners here, Brian Edwards with the town, Suzanne Irwin with the school boards, Millie Barbie with the Historical Society. I would like to thank all these people for coming today. I also want to take an opportunity to talk about how much work Dale Cavaney put into this with the Blue Ridge Development Center. We also need to thank them for the gravel they put out front. It just makes the place look a lot better. Tom Smith was a big push behind this. Want to thank him personally for doing that. Appreciate it, Tom. When the county tries to recruit businesses, we're also looking at tourists and retirees to move into our county. And one of the first things a lot of them ask are, what are some of the recreational activities that are available? Obviously, we have the New River, we have the Blue Ridge Parkway. Now we're adding more land onto the Stone Mountain facility. We're going to have hopefully, we're looking at a connection between the mountains to the sea trails. That is something that will be worked on in the future. We're happy and excited about that part of it. This is just one other little amenity to add to the county, especially, like I say, when tourists come and when retirees come to the county. And it's a great way to preserve the history of the county. Back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, my grandfather farmed not very far from here, and I can remember him talking about Bullhead Mountain all those years. That was where I learned a little bit about farming. He didn't have anything that was very modern. He had 2 horses. Everything was done with a horse in those days. And he taught me how to drive a team of horses, how to mow a field with horses. So all this connection is a personal connection with me. I appreciate everything, all these groups that have worked together. Now it's time to turn this over to Eric. Where's Eric Hagel? Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Isn't this impressive, this map here? It only took a little while, right, Francis? Not too long. I'm Eric Hegel. I'm the interim director at Blue Ridge Conservancy. We're a local nonprofit who works in the northwest corner of North Carolina. Allegheny County is one of our counties that we work in. We do a lot of work with private landowners up here, placing conservation easements on farms. This is actually this is the major area where we have farmland conservation easements in all of our service area, in all over about 3,500 acres under conservation easement. So that's been a lot of our focus here. And then our other focus is right behind us here, Bullhead Mountain. And so just give you a little history of Bullhead Mountain. It's about a mile-long ridge line, that starts from here and goes all the way over to the parkway. It's a major view shed along the Blue Ridge Parkway from travelers heading north and south, as well as most folks in the county. As I've been to various parts around the county, up in Ennis, you're looking at Bullhead Mountain. So it's a major scenic viewpoint of the county. It's also on the hawk and eagle migration corridor as they travel up and down the Blue Ridge. I think starting next month, the Blue Ridge birders will be out at Mahogany Rock and start counting all of the hawks and eagles flying by. And that was one of the main reasons for everything to get started up here, conservation-wise. So Bullhead Mountain is designated a state natural area by the North Carolina Natural Heritage Program, and some statistics to give you an idea of how ecologically significant this mountain is. There's 3 rare plant species, 5 rare animal species, and 7 significant natural communities. So not only is there views and recreation opportunities, but the ecological integrity of the mountain is just spectacular. The other side of the mountain, about a mile away, a little over a mile, is the Blue Ridge Parkway, which then on the other side of the Blue Ridge Parkway is Stone Mountain State Park, which then goes all the way down into the foothills. So you can see this is a large chunk of conservation land. A little further down the parkway is Downton Park. And so we're expanding upon what is already out here. And I think I have my numbers right. State Parks might correct me on this, but I think the whole state natural area now is over 400 acres in size. So we're slowly getting, you know, some good acreage together here with this last acquisition that we're celebrating. And this is actually a long history with Blue Ridge Conservancy. This is one of our first projects that we've ever worked on. It actually started back in 1997, pretty much with the birth of the organization. Originally the property, which is on the other side of the mountain. So we are down here along Highway 21, and this was the original purchase back here, and that was plotted in 3 to 5 acre lots. So it's going to be a big subdivision that would have, you know, spoiled the ecological integrity as well as the scenic views of the property. So we partnered with the Conservation Trust for North Carolina, and, you know, realizing the significance of the mountain, the local community got together and they formed a group called the Preservers of the Parkway. And so they got together, they lobbied funders, community leaders, and state parks to pull off the necessary support to make this happen. And it actually happened fairly quick. Brian and I were just talking about this. About 3 years they made it happen. They were able to raise the funds from the Department of Transportation, state parks, and a lot of the local community to buy the original. It was about 200 acres or so. So it was real impressive what they did. And during that time, they also had to get the North Carolina General Assembly to create Bullhead Mountain State Natural Area. So in '99, it was created and formed as a state natural area, which is a unit under the state park in here in North Carolina. They also convinced the landowner, Marietta Stokes, to sell it at a discount rate, less than fair market value. So they did a good job with that. And they had the Natural Heritage Trust Fund help out. But the coolest thing, I found these old ledgers of everybody who donated. We've got literally a box. It says Bullhead Mountain on the side. So I've been piling through that. And over 75 people made contributions, private individuals, of $5, $50, $1,000, $10,000 to make this happen. So 75 folks, mainly in Allegheny County. So it's really a grassroots community effort. And so I was real impressed with that. It actually gained so much notoriety that Allegheny County High School and Wilkes Community College had an essay writing contest on, preserving the, why do we want to preserve Bullhead Mountain? And I found a bunch of those essays in our box, and there was a winner from each institution, and there was a cash prize. So really, it sounded like the whole community got involved in behind this. So that was in 2000. And it's, it was always on everyone's mind, now that part of Bullhead Mountain was protected, but we want to make this whole mountain protected. So fast forward 16 years. So it takes some time. We were finally able to acquire the property that we're on, as well as 75 other acres that is all behind us here. So everybody wants everything to happen, now. You get a phone call, okay, can you buy our land? All right, next month. We're like, whoa, well, we need to have all the stars aligned, all the funding sources come together. And this one, it was 16 years. I think in the end of 2006 is when we closed on this. So, but this property in particular was funded from Clean Water Management Trust Fund, state parks, and the person who really made this all happen was Frances Huber, with her donating 40 acres of land above us. So, yes, absolutely. going to brag on Francis a little more a little bit later, but when we acquire land and write grants, no one wants to, you write a grant and they give you 100% of the money and make it happen. No, it just doesn't ever happen that way. Brian's shaking his head, he says the same thing. So we're able to use Francis's donation as a match for a grant. So instead of trying to go out and get 75, 100 more people to donate money to acquire land, the land value that she donated was a match for the grant, and that really sped things into high gear and made this happen fairly quick. I'll say, not quick, fairly quick. And so, although it took a lot of committed folks from up here in the community and conservationists, there's a couple of these, original preservers of the parkway I want to talk about. One is James Coman, and the other is, the other couple is Andy and Francis Huber. So James Cohen was the first director at Blue Ridge Conservancy. He helped start the organization. We actually have two different routes, if folks are familiar with our history, and one of our routes is up here in Allegheny County with Blue Ridge Rural Land Trust. James was the one who started that and really helped spearhead the Bullhead Mountain effort here. He was a sheep farmer from up in Piney Creek, an avid birder. He was the one that helped bring the notoriety of the hawk migration and Bullhead Mountain to everyone's attention, and really a conservationist at heart. He's got a couple 100-acre farm that we have a conservation easement on, that it will always remain a farm now. I think his nephew is up there farming it as we speak. And so his tireless work and effort helped set the foundation for Blue Ridge Conservancy and where we are today. And I know he would be very happy and ecstatic to know that we've acquired this property along Highway 21, and actually hopefully soon bring some access to the county, to the citizens, to the visitors of Allegheny County to Bullhead Mountain. I know that was what he had always wanted. So, and then another, it was a couple that I mentioned earlier, Andy and Francis Huber are just, I can't say really enough about their commitment to Allegheny County and to Bullhead Mountain. Andy's leadership in 1999 helped get Bullhead Mountain, raise the funds, get the preservers of the parkway started, help the state parks get Bullhead Mountain designated a state natural area. Again, that's no easy feat. It has to go through the whole General Assembly, and they all have to stamp off on it, and making that happen, that was a huge deal. They also, if folks are familiar with Francis' farm up in Ennis, there's a conservation easement on that farm to ensure that that property will always remain farmland for future farmers. So love going up there every year and monitoring that conservation easement. And I know James and Francis spend many hours at lunch having coffee, brainstorming about how are we going to make Bullhead Mountain accessible, how are we going to bring access down to 221. And so I know both Francis and James are very, very happy that we're actually here. And so without Francis's generosity, we would not have been able to make this happen as we did. So again, thank you, Francis. Certainly you're a big reason why we're all here today. And also wanted to give a special thanks to Don Halsey and the children of Susan Billings. Candace is here with her new baby, Tim, Alyssa, and Charles. They're the ones that own this property that we purchased it from, and I know they spent a lot of time and effort to keep this property in their family through recent years, and so we appreciate their efforts and also appreciate their patience working with us through this process. They really wanted to see this land remain preserved. I know their mother had a dream of the therapeutic riding center up here, and so knowing that this will always be available and open, I know they're really excited. Actually, we were talking a little bit earlier, and she's like, "Didn't you just have a baby when we had started?" And I didn't even know she was even thinking about having another baby. And so this how long things, years. And so their patience is appreciated. And so all this goes to saying that it really takes the whole community and everybody to make this happen. It's not just Blue Ridge Conservancy, not just state parks. It's everybody in Allegheny County, all the citizens, dating back 20 plus years. And so, we're here to celebrate it today, but we also want to celebrate, for everybody who's put in their time and energy here. So this is really a celebration for everybody. So thank you, guys. I'm not sure who's next on the docket.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Bill Meyer, and I'm the park superintendent at Stone Mountain State Park, and I'm probably the newest player in all of this. I didn't say the youngest, but the newest. But I want to say that when I first moved to Stone Mountain in Allegheny County, I was in Sparta, standing there at the intersection, and one of the first things that caught my eye was Bullhead Mountain, that you can see right from the center of town. I didn't know at that time exactly what it all entailed, but I soon found out. And as a park manager, as a conservationist, as a naturalist, as a birding enthusiast, I don't think we could have asked for a better acquisition. And I think all the citizens in the state of North Carolina, along with Allegheny County, are certainly going to be the benefactors of this. At this time, I'd like to introduce Brian Strong. He's our Chief of Planning with the division, and I'm going to let him finish up this little segment. But again, congratulations.
Well, I'm going to keep up a little bit with Eric's theme, which is a theme of celebration. And I think we had a great year last year in the park system with our 100th anniversary state parks, and just a wonderful time to kind of sit back and to really think about the great things that have happened in North Carolina state parks over 100 years. And I think we don't do enough of that. We don't celebrate enough. We don't think about the great things that really have occurred in the park system, and take time to do things like we're doing right now today to say, hey, there has been some great accomplishments. And I think all too often, and for myself and everybody else probably here, you know, you look at this map and you see all that green, but what do we focus on? Well, you know, we haven't connected yet. I got to get back to work, get back to the office. Let's make some phone calls. Let's make it happen. Let's go find that trail connection. And I think a lot of times we spend a lot of our time thinking about those things and not maybe thinking about as much of what do we have to really celebrate. And I think it's a great day to do those things together. I know for myself, the 100th year was a great opportunity to do that for us as a division. And we have a lot of what are those great things we have to celebrate. And I think for a park system, one of the most amazing things that we can celebrate is our connection with the citizens of North Carolina. And as Eric talked about, what did he constantly say? This person, that person. It wasn't a legislator. It wasn't the governor that came down and said, we've got to save Bullhead. It was the citizens of North Carolina. And if you look at the genesis of almost every park in the system, it's those citizens that say, we want to keep this for the future generations of the citizens of North Carolina and their visitors. And I think that's amazing that we have that in North Carolina. We have people just like you right here who love this place, who loved it, who maybe you've never been to the top. I'm fortunate, I've been up there a couple times. It's amazing. If you get the opportunity, do it. But it's there, and you're grateful that it's protected, that folks can look up and see it and not see a house or a subdivision. Those are great things, and we're very fortunate, at least, and I've seen, and going around from the different parks in the system, there are so many people that care deeply about that. And we need to celebrate that. I think the other thing that I'm amazed at as I look to the park system is the partnerships that we have. We have some amazing partnerships. Eric and his staff with Blue Ridge, what a great partnership. Folks that we don't have enough people. We've got right now one staff is in charge of land acquisition for the entire state of North Carolina. We can't do it without those partnerships, without folks here on the ground saying, here's a great opportunity, who worked 16 years to make one land acquisition happen. We can't do that, and we love those partnerships. I really appreciate the Blue Ridge Business Development Center. You know, those folks have just endlessly, you know, we get calls all the time. Let's get that ribbon cutting done. Let's make it happen. It's great. And you know, with how busy and challenged we are staff-wise, we need those partnerships. And those are amazing, you know. And you know, I think there's so many examples of that throughout our park system. But I think we really need to take the time to celebrate that as a system, that we have so many great partners that we work with. I'm very fortunate. I feel that we have an incredible mission in the park system and the state park system, a mission that really focuses on protecting areas like this. Just a brief description about, we have a bunch of different types of units in the system. We have parks like Stone Mountain State Park, where you can go, you can camp, you can hike. There are facilities for RVs, there are overnight facilities, camping for Boy Scouts. We have recreation areas that are usually water focused with boat ramps and RV, overnight camping. And then we have some other units that aren't as well known, like Bullhead, which is a state natural area. And those are typically to protect the resource, the rare species, the view shed, the opportunity to go up there someday. And you know, and I'm excited about this. And this is one of those things, when I first started back in around 2000, right when this acquisition had occurred, you know, my at the time boss said, hey, do you want to go out to this place in Bullhead and look at that with the biologists and go out there and see where they can hawk watch? And I'm like, is that a question, or is that, you know what I mean? Wow, I get to do that. And so going up there with Harry LeGrand and other biologists and looking at that and seeing that opportunity of what we could do with this facility is great, and what we could do with that land. And we have an amazing mission, and I think the other part of that amazing mission is to provide recreation. You know, provide folks the opportunity to hike on a place like this, to have those long distance hikes. You know, in Allegheny County, you know, the Stone Mountain, one third of Stone Mountain is in Allegheny County. The campgrounds, the visitor center, the picnic area, you know, we have great opportunities to provide people recreation. And I think that's a great thing to celebrate. And I know we're busy, you know, 19 million visitors last year. North Carolina State Park keeps folks like Bill and Sean busy all the time. But we're grateful that we have that great opportunity to provide that recreation for our citizens, for their visitors. And again, we protect some of the amazing places. And like I said, I think I'm very fortunate. I feel sometimes that I get to sort of go to places that a lot of people don't get to go, to maybe see behind the curtain a little bit of some of these unique places, to go to the bogs, to go to the mountains, to go to these areas that maybe folks don't get to go as much. But boy, it is such a pleasure. And I think it's important to understand that these places are there and will always be there. 100 years, you know, we're still doing it. And hopefully 100 years from now, we'll remain protecting these unique spots. Finally, I always like to say, you know, that last leg of that stool, that third leg, is interpreting that, educating the public on these great places. Why are they important? Why is it important to protect Bullhead? You know, what are the plants? What are the animals? What will you find there? You know, to take a look at those hawks, you know, that migrate through there, thousands, to watch, you know, kettles of broadwings and other hawks as they come through there. I think those opportunities is one of the things that we really try to emphasize in the division. And it's great to celebrate those things. You know, how many people go through the programs on a weekly basis and learn and appreciate more and more the great state that they live in. Finally, I think we need to celebrate a great future. You know, I mean, folks here is really, I think, shows us that we have a great future together. That there are so many people that deeply care for these unique places in North Carolina and want to see them protected for the future and for the citizens. And yeah, you know, there's always one more. You know, we could always go back to the officers, that one more thing, that one more phone call, that one more acquisition we got to get done. But I think I appreciate today, and thank you all so much for coming and celebrating with us this great acquisition here and the great park system that we have. Thank you so much.
I just, in closing, I would thank everybody for coming. I think it shows what can happen when all sorts of different agencies work together. Small and large, we can create something that'll keep the history for Allegheny County and keep the history for North Carolina. I would like to thank everybody for coming, and thank you all.
There's a well-beaten path on this old mountainside where I wandered when I was a lad. There I wandered along to the place I call home in those Blue Ridge hills far away. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bury me on the mountain far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home? Yes, sir. Now my thoughts wander back to the ramshackle shack in those Blue Ridge hills far away. There my mother and dad are laid there to rest. They're sleeping in peace together there. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bury me on the mountain far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home? I return to that old cabin home with a sigh. I've been longing for days gone by. When I die, won't you bury me on that old mountainside? Make my resting place upon a hill so high. Oh, I love those hills of old Virginia. From those Blue Ridge hills I did roam. When I die, won't you bury me on the mountain far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home? Far away in my Blue Ridge mountain home.